Welcome back, everybody. I am the Reverend Mother Ana Luisa Armendariz, and we're here for End of Life Conversations, our weekly dispatch. Is that what we're calling it? Weekly dispatch?
Yeah.
Yep. And I have been holding in my heart this wonderful, now it's a memory of when Wakil came to visit me last week. And I'd like Wakil to talk a little bit about his wife and then what I perceived in that time because, well, Wakil, will you tell us about your journey right now and just what's going on?
Sure. And I mean, really, this leads to a lot of good thinking and thoughts that we can share around this
Yes.
subject of caregiving.
Yes.
So, over 2 years ago now, my wife was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, which is basically a, dying, terminal diagnosis. Her mom and her two brothers had died of the same thing and within 6 months of diagnosis. So we kind of just thought, okay, this is what's going to happen.
That's right.
Yeah. And the first couple of months, that's how it felt. I mean, she lost a ton of weight. She couldn't walk very far. She was just out of it. And if you know Wendy, my wife, you would know that that's not a normal thing for her. She's a ever ready bunny. She's always moving. So that first couple months, I thought, I'm going to lose my wife of 38 years, and this is not good. And so, but the other thing that happened is it just like, okay, this is what I need to be here for. I need to be totally with her and present. So went to every single appointment with her. I took care of everything that had to be taken care of, meals, cleaning, all the things that you kind of don't even think about that when you have a partner that are getting done because they're doing it, and suddenly my work around the house even just doubled, right? Not to mention that I was grieving, not to mention, anticipatory grief, not to mention I was having to contact people, had to arrange for medications, had to arrange for visits. And there were a lot of people visiting, which was really sweet. So that was intense. And, but then phase 2, if you will, she started palliative care chemotherapy and it worked. She basically, everything kind of settled down. She started gaining weight again. She started getting her energy back. After a while, she stopped having any pain to speak of. Still, some nausea and some weakness, but generally almost back to normal. And in fact, there's several times I thought, if I didn't know she was sick, I wouldn't know she was sick. And so
that's right.
There's, that's sort of been, well, that was the rule for a while. And then the chemo about a year in failed or quit working, and they had to switch to a new chemo. When it quit working, it was one of those kind of, oh my God, here we go again, And I'm doing this with my 3 children. We're talking to each other and we're trying to, and there's, a little bit of catastrophizing that happens. You're like, oh my God, this is it,
Which is totally normal too, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So this recently, we started noticing a difference again, and that turned out to be another kind of complication that we were dealing with, and that again kind of took us and I think in this particular version, this particular round, we were all like, yeah, we're not going there this time. We're not going to assume anything except for what we know right now. And that's the other thing. You really are living in the moment, every single moment, and being thankful for every single moment. And we're looking at the miracle that 2 years ago, we heard that our daughter was getting married, and she and her boyfriend came out here, and fiance came out to the West Coast and did a workshop wedding because they pretty much were sure Wendy wasn't going to be able to be there for this wedding. But here we are, we're like a month away. And it looks very well like she's going to be there for the wedding, which is a freaking miracle, all by itself. And really everything we do that's a regular yearly event, we just kind of feel like, wow, this is absolutely amazing. We're still doing it. We're still here.
Still in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of the base. And now we're in that phase of don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but now, here we are. And so it was such a fun trip visiting with Ana Luisa, taking walks, and and Ana Luisa got to witness Wendy in her full glory, almost,
I did, and that's what so for our listeners, I wanted to say too, we did city stuff, and we camped.
Yeah.
We did a little glamping trip, and it was very comfortable for Wendy, and she still got to go hiking, and she was very like, "Where's the elevation? I need a hike,"
Yeah.
which is really astounding because we really it's been 2 years, right? And she's been here.
Yeah.
She was here a year ago, and I was just kind of noticing um, perhaps the impact of an elongated caregiving uh, role that you've had. And I watched you take care of her. I watched you listen, and you know, I think that when people have a cancer card or like my sister, physically disabled for her entire life, she had the disability card. Like, you're going to do what I say because I'm the one who can't walk, right? And so
Right.
we
Yeah.
acquiesce to these kind of emotional relationships that we have with people because we are so terrified that they will be gone in the next iteration, right? Like, and so
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about like caregiving, long-term caregiving, and I found that Wakil is so present, so like in the moment, like constantly checking in. They're talking about what to do like 3-4 weeks out because she's got chemo to go to, and not everybody has your patience, Wakil. Like, so how do you resource yourself? What can we offer to people who have been in a long-term terminal diagnosis with a friend, a partner, a child,
Hmm.
and who could still show up being uh, present and loving because it's so hard. I know that at the end of my sister's life, it was like roll of the eyes for me because here she is, she's sick in the hospital again. They're telling me she's not going to make it. That has happened so many times in my life
Yeah.
with my sister. And I have to admit that when she passed away, I had a sigh of relief
Yeah. Of
because I was
course.
like,
Yeah.
finally, we are done with this. It's been
Hmm.
like 20 years of over
Yeah.
and over and over and over. And I didn't get to like step away from this relationship. I was in it.
Hmm.
So and Sam too, you've been around people who have been caregivers. You've caregiven yourself. So
Mhm.
let's really like hold, like, there is a lot of different caregiver types out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's talk about it.
Yeah. And every situation is different.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Sam, what tell us some of your experiences.
Um, the funny the what first comes up feels mm, maybe not. The initial thought was transgressive, but not quite as transgressive maybe as the complexity of feeling relief when it's done.
Hmm.
I'd really like to hear more from you, Ana Luisa, later, and you too, Wakil, at different points in this caregiving journey about the maybe inner conflict around that feeling.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, my related piece is around recognizing those different capacities and where each person is skilled, resourced,
Mhm.
and attuned to provide different kinds of services. I'm
Hmm.
not a nurse. I've really learned that
Mhm.
the nursing physical care side is not my realm.
Mhm.
And sometimes there can be self-judgment
Mhm.
about that.
Mm.
Like, you know, if I'm around somebody in a caregiving capacity and they uh
Like
need
intimate care.
some intimate care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that term.
Yeah.
If they
I
need
mean,
that level of like physically intimate care,
right.
I'm not well tuned to do that.
Yeah.
But also very, very grateful for the people who are, and there are a lot of people who like
Mhm.
that's their jam
Yeah.
and they
Mhm.
love to show up in that way and
Mhm.
it doesn't phase them. Like I don't necessarily want to wipe somebody's butt. That's
Mm-hmm.
not that's
Mm-hmm.
not my thing. I'll wipe your spiritual butt all day
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
All day long. I'll deal
Oh,
with that
you're
shit
so picky.
day in day out.
Well,
Right, and that's
Exactly.
that judgment piece is why do you have to be so picky?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
it's
like,
totally okay, right? Like
yeah.
Yeah.
we have to show up in the areas where we can support without feel, because it causes that ick factor to show up and that people will feel it, right? It's either going to
Yeah.
show up as like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed that I need this kind of help. Or, oh God, I can't believe I can't even do this for the one I love. Like, I have been around like bed sores,
Mhm.
and cleaning those. And, I am that person who can wipe just about anything. I've just been around it for so
Mm.
long. And I also recognize how, like, the dignity piece for the person who's asking for help and,
Yeah.
the ick factor that comes from people around, right? Like, oh, I don't know if I could see this. Like, my ex-husband was
Yeah.
like, don't even tell me. Don't even tell me what you're doing. I don't want to like imagine it in my head. So I get
Yeah.
it. It's
Yeah.
not for everyone.
Yeah.
And, and I want to just say, like, if you're in that place right now and you have a loved one that you're having to do the intimate caregiving for and you're really tired, please, let's find help for you, because you don't need to be doing it 100% of the time. And if your partner or spouse or whatever says, no, it's got to be you, because I also get that from my own daughter. I don't want
Mhm.
anybody but you taking care of me, which is super heavy.
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
like, I want to like pull my hair out sometimes because I'm like, why can't it just be somebody else? I'm tired of doing this. It's not even the
Yeah.
ick factor. It's just, I don't have anything left.
Just tired. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard several times. I mean, I think it's really, really normal of relief at the end of a caregiving thing. When somebody
Mm-hmm.
dies after a while. I had a family come to me and for counseling companionship that had been caring for their mother for 20 years who had
Mm-hmm.
Alzheimer's, and for the last 10 years of that, she had no idea who was what or where she was. So and they came to me and they were all saying, it was a couple boys and their dad, the father or the husband and two sons, and they were like, "Ah, man, I feel so guilty. We are so freaking relieved,
Mm-hmm.
and I just
Mm-hmm.
told them, like I've told many other people, that is an absolutely normal thing to feel and nothing to be ashamed of. And
That's
as you're
right.
talking about, Sam, really knowing where your strengths are, and accepting yourself for that, and being willing to forgive yourself for not being everything all the time.
That's right.
I look forward to, I wouldn't say look forward isn't maybe the right word, but I have an anticipatory grief around the time that's coming when Wendy will not be as easy as she is now, and will not be able to do all the stuff she's doing now, and I'll be doing that intimate caregiving,
Mm-hmm.
and probably by myself. I mean, it's very possible my son will come visit and help, and etc. But very likely mostly myself. And on one hand, I'm like, yeah, I can do this. On the other hand, I'm aware of and have witnessed so much, and have witnessed in my past too, that I know it's going to be really, really hard, and it's going to be really tiring. And there's going to be times when I just want to say,
Mm.
leave me alone,
Yes. Yeah.
And thankfully I have a community and my kids, and, I think I can count on those to help. But
Mhm.
wow, yeah, I hear you. It's something to think about. And as we said, it's different every time, and
Mhm.
people have different experiences. We do have a resource list that we'll put in the podcast notes that include caregiver guidance and some videos and stuff and we've also had some podcasts about that. So we'll put all that in our
That's right.
podcast notes for you.
Mm.
But yeah, there's no denying the fact that this is maybe one of the hardest jobs that anybody ever takes on.
That's right. It's hard, and, over the long course, like, sometimes you have a terminal illness and it's fast. Like, Joaquin,
Yeah.
you put your entire life on hold. Like, you
Yeah, I did.
literally got, said, I can't come to this, I can't do that, because you are so present to this journey with your spouse. Like, it's just 100% that. And not everybody can do that, right? There are
Yeah,
people who will
exactly.
have jobs to go to, kids who
Right.
still need to go to school.
Yeah.
And, I mean, at least you and Wendy go and sing together and do, the Dances of Universal Peace. I think that I would really recommend people to try to hold on to one little aspect of their own joy even if
Yeah.
it's not a shared joy with their spouse, because you need to still continue to be in the world and play,
It
right?
makes
Like,
a huge difference. Yeah.
yes. So don't isolate yourself if you're doing the caregiving role.
Yeah. Reach out. That's really important. I've been blessed in that. Well, first of all, my first blessing is that I'm retired and I could just say to all the boards and things I was doing
Mm-hmm.
and the activities I was doing, like, I won't be there for a while because my only job right now is taking care of my wife.
Right.
And as she's gotten into a better space, I've been able to pick up some of those again. But always, every single time, I tell them I'll be here as long as I can or as well as I can, but I may very well at any moment say I
Spare.
won't be here
Mm-hmm.
because I've got to take care of her, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another kind of interesting part of it. And the other blessing is to have a community around me that is intelligent and thoughtful and wise enough to regularly check in and see how I'm doing, you know. And so that's important. And if you're a
Yeah.
part of a community and somebody's being a caregiver, that's the best thing you can do for them.
That's
Make sure they
right.
know that you're not just
That's right.
thinking about the person you're caring for, but they're thinking about you and how are you doing and checking in with them, seeing how you can help.
Yeah, that's a big one. Like,
Yeah.
don't forget that there is somebody who's doing the heavy lifting around the person who's needing help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So anyhow, that's what I wanted to talk about today. Caregiving
Yeah. Yeah.
and all of its iterations.
I think one more piece of that is, as with any dealing with people who are grieving or going through end of life things, it's always better to just do things for them and not ask them what they
That's
need.
right.
um, you know, that's kind of the go-to is like, tell me anytime you need me, call me up, let me know what I can do for you. Um, a person who's grieving or a person who's in the depths of caregiving, they don't have any time to think about who can I call for this.
That's
They
right.
need you to just show up, come over,
Mm-hmm.
make a meal, clean the house, do the laundry,
Mm-hmm.
you know, anything that you can think of that you would wish somebody would do for
That's
you,
right.
you know.
Walk the dog.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Care for the kids.
Yeah. And on the counter side of that, or not counter, but on the other side of that, there's that piece of providing for the caregiver without asking them to
Mhm.
hold more. And one of the pieces in caregiving directly that I've been exploring and is a really interesting part is negotiating or conversing, planning with the recipient of the care
Mhm.
about what they want to do on their own and what would be supportive to have help with.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's an ongoing conversation, like, you know, do you want me to go, you know, make the sandwich today, or do you want to go
Right.
do that for yourself?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it helps preserve that sense of like autonomy
Yes, an agency.
and
Yeah.
an
Mhm.
agency. And it you know, it's part of, I think, building a relationship also of intuiting maybe when
Mhm.
more support is needed
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
what. But thinking about, you know, mobility and especially in like aging, how important it is to stay active and
Yeah.
stay doing certain things to
As much as you can,
keep
yeah.
as much as you can, and then being ready to step in when whatever fatigue or limit is hit.
Yeah.
It's also the perfect time to remember to take care of all that planning that we always talk about, you know. If anything's not done, now's the
Now's the
time to do
time.
it, you know. If they especially if they can't go anywhere, now you've got them in a captive audience, you know.
Although,
Um,
you know, I have had people I've worked with who they are not they're
yeah,
dying that they don't want to talk about it. Like there's
yeah,
never a right time in their book, right? It's
that's
just
true. Yeah, that's always the case, right?
I have seen that before and it's shocking, but
Yeah.
I'm still not ready to talk about this. I'm like, what?
Okay. Well,
What? I think we talk so much here at End of Life Conversations podcast
mhm.
about about doing the thing, like doing the planning,
Yeah.
finding ways to do it,
Mhm.
and maybe I'm just like plugging a future episode right now about like what happens with those people, with the ones who refuse.
Mm.
and there's no preparation. And what are like the supports or like solutions when no prep work is done?
Well,
Yeah.
it's then it's called guesswork. And if
Yeah.
there's one person who has to deal with it, they're just going to decide. But if there's like a spouse left and a family left, and the family can't come to an agreement, then
It's
shit hits the
It's
fan,
a sh- it's a
essentially.
shit
yeah.
show.
Yeah.
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 And
It's really
Yeah.
bad.
feelings are hurt. Grief gets kind of, I think, pushed aside, or grief becomes this very murky place because the
Yeah.
decisions that that person wants to have for their decedent it's now mixed up with like, I wish they'd had a burial instead of a cremation, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't want Aunt Kelly to come here to like say her freaking evangelical stuff. Like all kinds of stuff's happened, right? So there's a lot of
Yeah.
feelings
Mhm.
now, rancor and grief.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it just adds to it's trauma. It is
Yeah,
essentially
it
trauma
absolutely
that
does.
dead person has gifted their family.
Right. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. And what do we do with that?
Yeah.
Have you? Maybe we're wandering off our little contained topic of caregiving, but like, have the two of you been mediators, been support for people in those situations?
I
Not,
haven't.
no,
Yeah.
I've heard, I mean, we've heard afterward, that
Yeah.
person who
Yeah.
told us that 60% or over 60% of siblings don't talk to each other after a parent dies.
Right.
That kind of statistic. And it also brings up something, and that story or another story brings up one more thing that relates to caregiving, which is you need to really make sure that the elder care that you're dealing with, if you're in an elder care home or you have a nurse or you have a hospice or whatever you're doing, that they're on board with the wishes of your person as well.
Mhm.
Because we had a story of somebody who said and wrote down and had her family all agree that she would do VSED, voluntary
Mhm.
stopping eating and drinking, if
That's
she got
right.
to a certain point in her Alzheimer's. She got to that point, and the people the home that she was in, refused to
Mhm.
honor that wish.
Mhm.
So you need to not only be thinking about what the agency of the person is, but who's around and who's going to either argue with or help you with
Right.
those conversations.
Right. You have to
And would
choose
that work?
accordingly, right?
Yeah,
So that
exactly.
they had
And
no
do that
idea
ahead of time.
that it was like Catholic or it
Yeah,
was a religious
yeah,
home. So
yeah,
there, and
Mm.
that's just one thing I always think about in terms of the state law is
yeah,
there, and we have a lot of. I feel like in some states we have a lot of freedom to choose what we want,
yeah,
but it's when you get into the hospitals or assisted living care situations, they write their own rules, and those are the rules that you have to abide by. So
yeah.
you
So
kind
know
of
what those are.
have to, if you're going to be a little, a little different in what you're choosing, you have to make sure you're in a place where your choices are going to be honored.
Yeah. So have that conversation as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
The corporatocracy, the
That's
gift that keeps on giving.
I know, or the gift that keeps on taking.
Taking
Yes.
it right. Exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly it.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Yeah.
well, that's all
Well,
I
thank
had on
you.
my little heart.
Thank you,
Mm.
folks. That was great. I appreciate you both very much.
I
I
appreciate you
appreciate the
too.
audience.
Yes.
Thank you for listening. And please tune in, like, subscribe, and tell all your friends. And we'll see
That's
you
right.
next time.
All right. Adios.
See you next time. Adios.
Dying grief and lost conversations about the end of life.